So we have a couple of articles, things I'm going to talk about. We're going to cover the Silver Surfer casting, and we're going to cover Bob Iger talking about Disney's not making woke stuff, or people are using the word woke wrong. Indiana Jones, that was a flop for Disney. We're going to talk about the Hulk movie they might be making with Maestro. Lots of different topics. New Daredevil, we're going to talk about that as well. And it all kind of connects. We're going to start with the Bob Iger conversation, and then work our way through Silver Surfer. That's right, Shadow. So let's start off with Bob Iger responds to people saying that Disney's content is not woke. Or I'm sorry, Disney's content is woke. He says, in terms of woke, is thrown around rather liberal. All right, no pun intended in that regard. I think a lot of people don't even understand really what it means. And I think he's kind of right here as far as people use the word woke wrong. Nonetheless, what Disney's doing, and what they have been doing for quite some time, is that they basically they had an agenda. They have a thing that they're trying to do and push stuff. We'll talk more about this with Silver Surfer. They have opportunities to make content that people want to watch, right? Comic book fans for 80 years have been enjoying the comics because of what the comics are, or I should not even say comic, just what the lore is, what the traditional way it was supposed to be. And all we wanted, and I'm not the biggest comic book fan. You guys always say, well, in the comics. I'm like, I'm cool with it not being from the comics. At the same time, at least take people that were in the comics and use those people, and don't change them, being, liberal with it, where you can just change the character what you want because of the artistic thing of being more diverse or inclusive or any of that, right? So we got this article from Vanity Fair. It says Bob Iger thinks woke Disney critics don't even know what woke means. In an interview with Disney HQ, and CEO addressed Elon Musk's repeated complaints about Disney going woke, but it's also said that the company cares more about entertainment than making content with a message. And I think that is completely bullshit, because let's think about this, right? And we're still talking about the Vanity Fair article here, but all the stuff that we have here, right? Script writing consultant talk about why Hollywood storytelling is bad in the process. We have that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny didn't make money. Why? I'm assuming it's because it's bad writing, and also they have an agenda to push. Okay. Then we have one of my favorite characters in Marvel's, okay, and they literally made him a beta. Then we have Fantastic Four's new Silver Surfer. Then we have Daredevil, which they basically took the character and completely ruined him when they put him in She-Hulk and made him do the walk of shame. And then they was so bad that they basically had to redo half of the show. They had 12 episodes of the 18 done, and they had to redo it. Okay. So when Bob Iger says the company cares about more entertainment than making content with a message, it's kind of hard for me to take that seriously when he says that. Okay. It says Bob Iger has a message for those criticizing Disney for being too woke. The Disney CEO sat down with an interview with Disney HQ on Thursday and directly addressed the high-profile critics, including Elon Musk and Nelson Peltz, about the direction of which they're steering the entertainment behemoth. In the interview with CSNBC reporter David Faber, Iger's maintained that Disney is not primarily concerned with and diffusing messages, is also programming that can remain entertainment first company. Now, obviously, they're not the first company with entertainment anymore. They've got their ass kicked across the board within the box office. Disney used to be 36% of all movies, right? They brought in 36% over the years, and this year they actually lost that. They weren't even close. They had literally 12 films, all lose money for them, okay? So Musk has taken it upon himself to wage a war against Iger's vision of Disney, and the ex-CEO has reportedly called out Iger and Disney for being too woke, posting on April Fool's Day. And this is what was joining company of a chief DEI officer. Can't wait for work with Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy to make their content more woke. The monologue wrote, even with the apparently Musk's attempt at a funny joke, okay? It says Iger certainly wasn't laughing. He says, I ignored it. Well, no, you didn't, okay? Iger also told Faber and Musk pestering, there's also no relevance of Walt Disney Company or to me. He says, while it's not concerned that Musk is a comedic styling, Iger didn't indirectly addressed Musk's notion of Disney has been going woke, promising that the company's focus is on entertainment rather than moralizing, which is kind of funny because living in Florida, they were 100% pushing an agenda because they tried to make it by passing and they got in trouble, right? And they basically lost all their right inside Florida now, because they weren't pushing anything. You're absolutely right. They weren't pushing anything. But yet there's so many proof and receipts showing that this is exactly what they were doing, hence why they lost what they were doing. So infusing messages as sort of a #1 priority in our film and television shows is not what we're up to. I can give you another example. While just reading that sentence, I gave you guys an insight of what the Muppet Babies were doing and what they did with Gonzo. Okay, obviously, they had a message there. So Disney companies can also be positive impact on the world rather than fostering acceptance and understanding of people in all different types. Great. But generally speaking, we need to entertainment first company, and we've worked really hard to do that. I want to try to be as fair as possible when I cover this stuff, right? I want to be as fair as possible. And maybe now he's talking in a way of, this is not what we're trying to do, because he left. Now, I do find it funny that he left during the pandemic and then came back after it was gone. And he put someone in place of him, which is Bob Chapek, or as legally like to call him Bob Shitpeck, because of what he was doing. Okay, but now Bob Iger comes back, he's doing certain things, and he's saying that we're not doing this, but there's so many different things, like I just said before, receipts that say otherwise. So it says also the firm spending about $25 million in failed attempt to oust Iger, according to the New York Times. Disney reportedly spent as much as $40 million in successful counter campaigns, and Musk pledged in support for Peltz on X, posting on April 3rd, and Nelson Peltz should definitely be on the Disney board. And on 81-year-old would also help reform the company and significantly improve Disney's share price. Now, as for Peltz and Iger called a proxy war, distracting from the maintain was absolutely not a handful of companies, despite the with Musk and Peltz. He claimed that the noise, pretending that Disney was also purposed of woke, pivoted as a sort of quiet down, that the word itself starting to lose meaning. And I'll agree with that. The word has lost its meaning because every time they put, as South Park said, put a chick in it, make it lame and gay, it's lost what woke means, right? What it originally started as and what it does now, people have used it so much that it kind of loses what the point is. And he's absolutely right there. Now, it says the word that also loses the meaning becomes a chatful of distractors. The terms of woke is thrown around rather liberal, Iger said, and I think a lot of people don't really understand what it means. Musk certainly doesn't, okay? And I think he's just trying to be more, like, look, more politics here. I'm trying to stay out of the politics stuff, but you can't help it when you read certain things. They don't like each other. We saw Elon Musk talk about, like, is Bob here? Go F yourself, when they were at the earlier this year. So we know they don't like each other, and they're just going back and forth. They're millionaires and billionaires, throwing away their weight in the industry. So I think it's a little bullshit, though, that until they prove otherwise, what Disney has been doing up to this point has been pushing an agenda, has been doing woke type of stuff. If it's woke or not, they have an agenda. They've been gaslighting. They do certain things. We all have seen it. If you don't like Star Wars, you're sexist, misogynistic, right? You don't like the Jedi that they brought in. You don't like that what they did to the show, but what you really don't like is that they torn down what was there before. And people that weren't fans of the original Star Wars or wasn't a fan of all this stuff, but now are jumping on board because they like it, they're like, well, it's no big deal. You still have your stuff. And what I have to say to that is, go fuck yourself, because we were here first and we like these things and this is what they were making. And now they're changing it. And because they're changing it and it's in your favor, you don't think it's a big deal, but we think it's a big deal because you weren't there when we were reading the comics. You weren't there when we were the geeks and nerds reading the books or watching the movies or watching the TV shows. We are the Trekkies. We are the Doctor Who's. We are the Star Wars fans. We are the Lord of the Rings fans. And these people all came in, all these companies picked up these IPs, changed it for what they were, changing the main characters, and people come in and they're like, well, I like new stories and I like this. That's not what we're complaining about. We're complaining that you're shitting on the characters that originally came, and they do this all the time. Multiple receipts, okay? So again, Bob Iger talking about this stuff, I kind of don't believe him, okay? Because talk is cheap. Show me what you got. And if you come out with stuff that's actually good again, then I'll be more inclined to go, you know what? They've seen the light. They've turned their ways. They're making entertainment again. But instead of that, they always push the narrative. So much so, we'll go on to the next topic, because you guys are saying, Shadow says, sure, Bob. Sure, Bob. Yeah, I don't believe him. Maybe you guys do. I don't believe him, right? Just like I don't watch Marvel movies anymore in the theaters. I'm not going to watch any Marvel movies in the theaters until they show me that Marvel movies are good again. Travis says, wait. I'm confused. Why do these people need consultant? If it offends people, they cannot see the movie. If they could have wanted to see it make a Mel Brooks level movie. I'm so glad I don't have social media. It's a living cesspool. Well, they keep repeating the same mistakes all the time. After a while, you begin to notice the pattern. Exactly. He says, I can't remember the last Disney film that was big for them since Toy Story 4 in 2019. Did Toy Story 4 do well? I mean, I think it was big for them, but I don't know. Did it? I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah, 1.7 billion. Yeah. That's a big one. I don't remember if there was anything. That's a Duke and Boom and stuff, right? With Keanu Reeves, is that the one? I don't think there was anything in that story that was against anything, right? It was just telling the story of what the Toy Story characters were. Plus, they're toys. They really don't have gender, but you know, Marvel ended at Endgame for me. Literally, the name. Yeah. No, I agree. I did watch the Spider-Man. And we did watch Doctor Strange, second one. And that was it for me. The Disney shows, I stopped on episode 2 of Miss Marvel, and then I stopped. Neither did the X-Men character, and here we are. Well, the X-Men 97 so far I haven't noticed anything pushed, right? You can look into it and say one of the episodes so far, I've watched 3 of them. You can say they're pushing sort of an agenda against Donald Trump with the Magneto character, with the way it's done, but that would be a stretch. Other than that, like X-Men 97's actually been pretty good. I'm being entertained by it. I think they've done really good with the characters and whatnot. Yeah, so far so good with at least the 3 episodes I've seen. I think the new one came out today, if I'm not mistaken. All right, one of these other stories I want to talk about here. One of the other stories is script consulting evidently exposes what's wrong with Hollywood's storytelling process. It says it goes without saying that Hollywood films aren't what they used to be. Part of the problem is writing that goes into them is weaker today. It says owning the repetitive copy and paste from better movies, rewrites, retcons, and only serves agenda. And it self-inserts, okay, and scripts lacking the life experience and research required. That first paragraph right there, okay, or the first sentence, I should say, says it all. Right? You see people self-inserting their character, themselves, the writer, into the actual person that's already been established, okay? That's the number one problem there. Donald Trump thing is a stretch. I know, Shadow. That's why I said it's a bit of a stretch, but I can see it there. But is it there because of the temperature that what was in real life right now? You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a stretch, but I can see it's there, right? And again, it doesn't bother me because it is what it is, right? A person that's younger than me, obviously, that's not paying attention, wouldn't have noticed it. It would just be Magneto and what they're doing. This first sentence, okay, with Hollywood owning in repetitive copy and pasta, right? From better movies, rewrites, retcons of actual characters that you like and love, only to serve an agenda, check the boxes, do the stuff, and then self-insert themselves into the character thing, right? That's all Disney's been doing. Okay? Hollywood in general is doing it, but Disney has been doing that very much so. Here it says there's more than a few reasons for those to tend to be on top 3, and you also pay enough attention to over the years, you would notice that these factors just affect the superhero genre or big franchises like Star Wars or James Bond. Unfortunately, true stories from the history recent of far-flung get thrown under the bus and killed by what passes the process of West Coast. You don't have to look very far in the biopic that also considers in many starred Shia LaBeouf as Pio, who also is one of afterthought in his own movie. Okay, along similar lines, there's also the Pope's Exorcist and the Russell Crowe, which plays a fast and loose with the life story of the Vatican. It says, mind you, that all the victims have a religious slant in 2022. Okay. It says a suspicious pattern that goes with the rare exceptions of further filmmakers, and seemingly meaning that Mel Gibson, not the first thing that you would expect to see about the man, but I know added a twist the admitted facts of spice of the Hawkshaw Ridge. Okay, writers and directors do what they want regardless of the story and genre material, fiction or nonfiction, and they just want the assessment. For those are the words of working of the writers and script consultants, right? We've heard this over multiple times. The directors don't read the content, don't follow the comic books, don't read the book, don't watch the other stuff, don't have any backstory whatsoever. Just do what you feel, right? It says, talking about the nameless client, whom she claims is also a biopic everybody has heard of, the Chamberlain says that it also comes up with the story first and then does research. He doesn't want to be distracted by the details and focuses on the snapshot of the Wikipedia understanding of what the person. He says the key is get away from the fact, says Chamberlain, and rewrite the emotional story from what one of the events in the real individual's life meant represented to the writer. The whole the whole of their life doesn't matter since Chamberlain's plus a life is not the story, okay? She says she adds it further, the character, that bios aren't always worth doing. And the deal of the abstract and also much research can be a bad thing. Too much research can be a bad thing, and it gets away and you'll see. He says, pardon me for asking, but doesn't this approach defy logic? Doesn't this common sense to take otherwise about research and preparation? If you have been hanging on this for far, it's also might be talking about a brand new characters created out of the whole cloth. I'm referring to real people with real stories no mortal pedestrians writer could weave. By extension, I'm talking about the lived-in characters with deep lore and profound backgrounds to James Bond and Luke Skywalker, characters that we've seen firsthand and mistreated in the last decade due to the studio's culture, okay? And this is why a lot of people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. You still have your Star Wars, right? You still have Luke Skywalker in 4, 5, and 6, right? You still have Anakin Skywalker in 1, 2, and 3. But you still shit on characters. What Luke Skywalker is in 7 and is not Luke Skywalker. That's a completely deconstructed character for what he is. And people are like, it's happening right now. Again, I just had a conversation in the after show with Lono, with chat, saying that, I'm the problem because I don't agree with what they're doing in Phantom Menace. In the early prequels, the Siths weren't around for a millennium, okay? And Yoda's been in the temple he's 800 years old, and it's before Yoda was there that the Siths were there. And right now, during this the Acolyte trailer, they're murdering, right? They're killing Jedi, part of the council, part of that, right? And everyone's like, oh, well, no, it doesn't mean that the Sith weren't there. The Sith could have been around. And I'm like, cool, that's fine if they pushed it further back. But this time frame for Acolyte is 100 years before Phantom Menace, which that means Yoda is there. Yoda knows. Yoda's seen it. So if the Siths came back and started murdering Jedi, don't you think Yoda would have been like, yeah, no, they were here just 100 years ago. But no, that's not what it is. But again, I'm wrong because I'm speculating based off facts of actual lines and things that are happening in the movie. And the people that are defending it are making up stuff from extended lore, other things. I get it. We haven't seen the story yet. We'll see how it plays out. All my thing is that if someone goes missing, you're going to ask questions. And if 10 people go missing, you're going to ask a lot of questions. You're not going to just kind of skip a beat and go, yeah, I don't remember any kind of Sith Lords killing any Jedi earlier on. I can't remember that in my time here. Right? Like, it doesn't make sense. You gotta pay attention to the lore that's been set in front of you. I do this example all the time. In New Hope, right? When Obi-Wan says, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, that is a toss-away line at the time when it was filmed in 1976 and when it launched in 1977. Okay, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars is literally just a toss-away line. There is no war. There was no Clone Wars. This is episode 4. Those don't exist yet. It's a throwaway line. But then Lucas went back and then made the Clone Wars, which then takes that line and doesn't make it a throwaway line anymore. It makes it a really deep line. Yeah, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars. That's the problem. Okay, they're taking stuff that's already set and they're not following it. They're making their own things and thinking they're cool and hip and changing it, but really they murder what the canon is. So Chamberlain's philosophy, he says you can call it that. It's not far from a field from the attitude of programmers at Google who created that the race baiting AI. Its riff of abuse and plays into the hands of its self-insert crowd that made junk like Madam Web. Okay, not every writer, director, or showrunner is planning on miniseries. I give you that, but there's also projects that should be more than a lean to Wikipedia page, generic stuff, or worse, a fanfic. And that's exactly what this looks like. Okay, you can actually hear the I don't even know the writer's name, the creator's name for Acolyte. But she even says, oh yeah, I have a lot of my fanfic stuff into this. She wrote fanfic and then she's putting it into here. Especially when dealing with true events, they should honor the people who lived them by speaking their truth, okay? And if you will, not with the writer, but the producer's version. Now, the story is also already there and was the whole time. So where are the warning signs? While it's far too late to make the alarms, it sells high times to get really real with Hollywood. It's needed intervention yesterday. Cleans the bad habits and need to be broken. With the ironic when you think about it. A town so in love with shaping minds, okay, and enamored with reboots of everything needs a massive reboot or debug or deprogramming. And this is why they're doing reboots and remasters. With reboots and remasters, they can change the time. They can change what history is because the people will never watch the older stuff. And the old people, well, they don't care what you think, right? They'll just change it. There'll be a day where it comes where they literally change Back to the Future. They will take Back to the Future, remake Back to the Future, and they'll change Back to the Future where instead of Marty McFly, it will be Martha McFly. okay? And then 40 years from now, when you're senile and old, I'll be 80 years old, 90 years old. God forbid I'm still alive. And my great-great-grandkid is going to come up to me and say, oh, yeah, I just watched the new Back to the Future, or the new brand new Back to the Future movie with Martha. And I'll be like, who? No, it's Marty McFly. No, it's Martha. And I'll be like, no, that's not it. They'll be like, well, you have your movies, I have mine, right? Not being traditional to what the movie is. Instead of making a brand new movie, they just shit on the old stuff, and they can change it. It's almost like the Mandela effect, right? Almost like the Mandela effect, where they can just change stuff, and then you think about it and you're like, wait a minute, wasn't that a thing? But they make you think you're crazy because it was a thing, but they make you believe it wasn't a thing. History doesn't matter. I'm gonna be dead by 50, so what do I care? Well, I'm gonna last for 90, and I care a lot, okay? So the writing's been the process. The writing process in Hollywood is broke. I've said this multiple times when we were reviewing all the shows for Mandalorian and WandaVision and Loki and all those other shows. I complained all the time. The writing is shit. We looked at the writers who got these. These are brand new writers. They didn't know what they were doing. People that are young want to do all the jobs that old people have in Hollywood. But the problem is they don't have the experience. They don't have what it is. Even now, I have less experience in this world than someone that would be 60-year-old or a 60-year-old that was writing, or a 70-year-old that was writing. They have more life experience. They've experienced more, okay? Just because you take a trip somewhere doesn't make you an expert to be in the jungle. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like, just because, and that's what it is. A lot of these writers feel like because they did something once or they watched the show, they're like experts on it, and they don't want to put the time in. They just want to get the paycheck for it, and that's what pisses me off. Travis says, "Wait, you think people actually know the timeline? Come on, 30." Well, there's very few things that I don't want to say an expert, but I would say that I know my shit with it. And Star Wars is one of those things, right? And those of you that have been in my channel, I talk a lot. Timelines matter. Timelines matter. You can't just say, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. No, time matters, especially when you're talking about certain things, right? You can't bring in someone that's like 10 years old and be like, oh yeah, this takes place 30 years after. You're like, well, wait a minute, that person wouldn't even be alive then. Well, don't worry about that. That's not a big thing. You're being too critical. No, I'm trying to understand what the lore is here based on the timeline that they've established here, right? And that's the reason. That's why Lord of the Rings is beloved, right? That's why Lord of the Rings is loved, because of the attention to detail that they put into the lore building behind the world and the characters and all the stuff, right? Not according to them, it doesn't. So the script consulting is a broke thing as well, which goes back to Bob Iger saying that, you know, we're not trying to push anything on you guys, but yet you get this, right? Yet you get, and I have nothing against this actress, nothing against the actress, okay? Now, I want to make it very clear. I am not a Silver Surfer aficionado in any way, shape, or form. I knew nothing of Silver Surfer based on, I know what the character is, but I'm not a diehard fan of Silver Surfer. I couldn't tell you how many comics there were and when it started and, you know, the story plots or anything like that. But what I can do is look it up, and I'm not going to be a Wikipedia warrior here, but I looked up how many Silver Surfer comics there were. Okay, now I'm gonna shrink this because there's a lot of them. Okay, and I'm just gonna, as I'm talking, I'm going to just keep scrolling. Okay, and now these are all issues. Okay, these are all issues. And I don't know if these are all the issues, but these are all the issues that popped up with Silver Surfer makes an appearance and different runs and different things of Silver Surfer, okay? Over all the years that he's been out, I think 1966 is when he came in. These are all the comic with the male Silver Surfer, not the female, okay? Not the shy, okay, woman version, okay? These are all, these are a lot, okay? This is all the comic of Silver Surfer. There's a lot there, right? There's a lot. Hey, we're still going, okay? So when Bob Iger says that we don't have an agenda, we're not doing anything that, you know, we're telling the stories that we need to tell. We're not putting anything on anybody, right? This is still going. This is still the exact same. These are all the comic with Silver Surfer in it, okay? There's a lot there, okay? Here's the comic with Shyla. Here's the comics with Shyla. Five comic. Not 50, not 5 sets of them, right? Five comic with this character, okay? And in these things, she's not Silver Surfer in all of them. So when you look at this, when you look at this, Silver Surfer, all of these, Silver Surfer, and then you look at this, right? This is his girlfriend now that becomes, and it's an alternate timeline, by the way, okay? An alternate timeline. This is why people are pissed, right? This is why people are pissed, because you could have taken a character, and this is what I feel like they should do, okay? The Fantastic Four has had multiple times to have 3 times. This is the 4th time, okay? There was a really shitty one done in like the 80s or early 90s. Then there's the ones that you saw with Chris Evans, right? Chris Evans, okay? And then the other one I didn't even watch that came out with the twins that we had a black Johnny, fire torch. Okay, my brain's okay. I'm tired. Okay, so those all bombed. The video game bombed. The movies bombed. They all suck. If I was them, I would come out with the Fantastic Four. Now, the Fantastic Four is supposed to be taking place in the 60s. There'd be some multiverse stuff, of course. Okay, because that's what they're going with. And I would just focus on Fantastic Four. I would just focus on Fantastic Four. Maybe Doctor Doom is the boss. I wouldn't bring Galactus in. Okay, I would just bring in Doctor Doom and just be Fantastic Four. And then and only then, if the movie's great and it's really good, entertainment, sticks to the lore, makes the Fantastic Four, then you make the second sequel, and then you start bringing in other characters and stuff. But they're bringing in this character, which is not Silver Surfer, okay? Remember, 5 comics over the entire run, okay? Now, let me see. The first time I think she made her appearance, this is, I don't know if it's the first time. All right, Silver Surfer, 1987. Okay, 1987. And then we have 1993. I don't know if that's then we have another one. It's 1993. Then we have 1988, and then we have another one of 1987. So that's it. There's the 4 comics, and you have to go all the way back to the 60s, and there's hundreds and hundreds of comics for them. But instead, of course, Bob Iger said, we don't have an agenda. We don't have an agenda. We're just telling good entertainment stories. They choose to pick a female Silver Surfer for the first time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to bring on the big screen. They make it a woman. Now, again, Bob said that they don't have an agenda. They don't have anything. And again, I'm not the biggest Silver Surfer fan. Okay, right? I think he's a cool character. Don't know much about him. I am a normie when it comes to Silver Surfer, but I'm not a normie when it comes to movie making and how Hollywood works. And to do this, you definitely have an agenda. You definitely have something that you're trying to do, because again, 5 fucking comics, okay, for this character that is so beloved, right? Everybody knows who she is, right? And I went through the Reddit forums and stuff like that, and the people that weren't fans, okay, of Silver Surfer are coming to the defense and saying, well, you still have your Silver Surfer, good, I'm glad they're not making it for you because I want new stories. Well, you can go read the old stuff, because that would be new stuff for you, because you have no idea who these characters are. Just amazing. Right, Lurker says, wait, they don't have an agenda? They're just dumb by accident. Right, okay. Again, Silver Surfer, I could just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, okay? And then 5, okay? But they don't have an agenda for Silver Surfer. So let's go and read this a little bit here. Let me say, okay, so Marvel Fantastic Four cast inventing Anna star Julia Garner as female version of Silver Surfer. Now, in a move of stereotypical that is borders of parody, Marvel Studios has announced that rather than a Nora Rad version, a beloved that's Nova, by the way, I believe, right? Is Nora Rad or no? Nora Rad is not Nova. There's another character that was more popular than this girl. But anyway, the upcoming Fantastic Four film, instead of representing the audiences with a female, Shia LaBeouf, incarnation of Silver Surfer, okay? It says confirmation of Marvel's latest casting movie first made public on April 3rd when the executives of the outlet Deadline, Justin Kroll, reported according to the sources, Ozark inventing Anna star Julia Gardner, who I think did a fantastic job in Ozark. If you haven't seen Ozark, she's a fantastic actress in that show. So if you like that type of stuff, go watch that show. It's fantastic, okay? So no hate on her, right? This has nothing to do with her, and she's going to do a bad job being Silver Surfer. This is just that she's just happens to be the repercussions of Disney doing what they're doing, okay? To this end, Kroll also noted that rather than the outright race swap version of the aforementioned Rad, Gardner would also instead be portraying the whole separate character of the Shyla, okay? The follow native of Rhonda's home planet of Zenla, okay, first introduced in the debut issue of 1968 Silver Surfer Volume 1, there's being depicted as a love-evaluated cosmic entity life. Now, sadly for the couple, the coming Galactus and Rad's agreement to serve and the herald exchange for the sparing of Zenla also would eventually see a couple of forcefully ripped from each other's arms, and then result in Bale would be left to stay on home and the planet where they also set out to perform a heartbreaking, right? So this is the the original. Now, from there, Bao would spend the next roughly 50 years as a supporting character to Surfer's adventures, an appearance taking on two distinct forms. Either a temporary reunion with Rad. After that, they would also force the acceptance of fates once again, and the illusion employed by one of the hero's enemies with the intent of breaking his mind. That was until 2016 Silver Surfer Volume 8. Okay, and promoted Bale from Rad's love interest to Zenla's keeper of the great truth, a role in which she saw not only a turn into a villainous cultivated expansionist intent on overwhelming the universe in various cultures, but also her own home planet, but also come with blows of her own heroic form lover, who sought out to stop the twist. Okay, so this is even later. So the comics that I showed you for that, where she makes appearances, okay, is not even it. Eventually, because it's a separate character, okay. Eventually, the conflict would also come to head with Rad in the moment of desperation and use the power cosmetic and erase Zenla's culture and extinct of thus cripping Bale's entire campaign. Unwilling to accept the humiliation lying down, Bale is turned stripped and Rad to Zenla's citizenship, thus leaving both of them without the true home to ever return to. So rather than only a only time version of Bale has been seen in role as the final two issues of the 1997 Earth X Volume 1 miniseries, where she temporarily granted the powers of Silver Surfer and made a twin hurled before being killed a short time later in invading forces. Okay, so also Bale total page time in the version of Silver Surfer amounts to roughly 4 pages across 2 issues. So here you go. So the person that is now Silver Surfer in the MCU, roughly 4 pages across 2 issues, is the entire timeline that she was Silver Surfer. Okay, so further, it should be also mentioned that while not proper appearance in any of a sort of Silver Surfer 1982, What If, Volume 1, number 37, told the tale of which Rad's time surveyed is over Bale, also giving herself upon the Herald Galactus in exchange of Zenla's survival. Of course, there's also similarities between her and Surfer at the end, and rather than adapting the appearance of the monarchy, Bale instead does a golden appearance and chooses to go by the name of Starbolt. So there's that character as well. So a current final Fantastic Four is currently set to break in Marvel Cinematic Universe on July 25th of 2025. So 4 pages off 2 series, and that is the person that is now going to be Silver Surfer. Again, no agenda. They just happened to pick a person out that they thought was best for the part of one of the most beloved characters in the comic books of Silver Surfer. But, you know, Frankie Ray. Thank you, Shadow. That's the one I was thinking of Nova. She has an involvement with Mephisto, and Mephisto has also been hinted a few times. She also becomes a villain to Silver Surfer. Sure. Now, again, I don't know the story yet. We don't know the story yet. I can't tell you if Fantastic Four is going to be a good film or a bad film or whatnot. I just think it's a little weird that you would start off in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that they would choose somebody and then gender swap the person when Silver Surfer is the main Silver Surfer. Maybe she, and this will piss me off, if they do something like a Doctor Who, okay, where they've already done it with Captain Marvel, right? Because Captain Marvel was originally a man and they changed it to a woman and whatnot. It would piss me off if they do what they did in Doctor Who. Doctor Who has always been a man, but the last, not this newest one, but the last Doctor Who, which was the female, at the very end of the series, they made that it was always a woman. It was a woman first, okay? And they erased everything that happened the 50 years before by showing that. So that basically they could do the same thing here, where they establish that Silver Surfer, the first Silver Surfer, was a woman. And maybe she dies and whatnot, and then we get Silver Surfer after that, perhaps. But the fact that if they're doing that, okay, is just bullshit. You know, and that's the problem, right? That's the problem. First thing they did was gender swap a lead character. You know the story is going to suck based on the start. I mean, I'm just trying to kind of put it out there as you didn't have to change the girl, right? You could have left Silver Surfer as is. But I guess what's worse, right? Let's take the best case scenario. The best case scenario is they kill her off and then implant the guy to be Silver Surfer. Or would it have been worse if they did it the opposite way, where Silver Surfer's the guy first and then she comes in, right? But then again, it could be the multiverse, and then she's just another variant of Silver Surfer and not actually Silver. Who knows? Didn't they change Captain Marvel like in the 90s? They changed her. I'm not sure the exact time. Let me see. Let's look it up, right? I don't know. Someone that's more comic book savvy. Captain Marvel, let's see here. Carol Soon Jan Danvers, a character appearing in an American comic book published by Marvel Comics, created by Roy Thomas, the artist Gene Cole, Also, the character first appeared as an officer in the United States Air Force in 1968. Danvers later became the first incarnation of Miss Marvel, and Miss Marvel #1 cover in 1977 after the DNA was fused by Marvels during the explosion, giving her superhuman powers, debuting in the Silver Age comics, and the character was also featured in a self-titled series in the late 70s. But that's when she was Miss Marvel. Then the character was also known for Binary or Warbird, and then Captain Marvel at various points in her history. Let's see. Development. Miss Marvel 1977, Uncanny Avengers. Captain Marvel. She made her first appearance as Captain Marvel, it looks like in 2012. Yeah, 2012 as Captain Marvel, according to Wiki. So, in 2013, Carol Danvers starred in the Captain Marvel Avengers Assemble crossover storyline. Danvers also rejoined the main Avengers team as Captain Marvel Volume 5, and that was 2012. 2012. So, and what makes it mind-boggling to me is, like, if there's 100 years of something and there's 2 years of something, they're like, let's go with the 2-year one. Let's go with the 2-year one. Captain Marvel was a guy, and then they changed it to the female for Doctor Strange in the second one. I have no problem if you do it. Now see, here's the difference, right? The comics establish something, and if you're gonna copy the lore of something, cool. Like, pick a volume and then, like, stick with that story base. But they pick and choose from things, and I've said this before. I understand it's in the comic, right? I don't care about the comics if they're doing the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But the people that were Marvel fans like certain things because of the comics. They're fans of the comics because they're fans of the characters in the comics. That's why they have fans. The reason Marvel's around today and was so fundamental in what Disney picked them up back then is because they knew they had an IP to make a shit ton of stuff, and yet they shit on all the people that made what Marvel was. And then they have the audacity to say that the reason that it's failing is because people are misogynistic. Well, no, it's failing because you don't see what you have to do. You have to make the stories that people want, because the people that bought your comics are the ones that bought your comics. They like the stories, and that's why they were successful. You're now trying to find this other clientele that didn't exist, right? Didn't exist, which is just stupid. You had a baked-in audience. Same with Star Wars, man. Same with, it's all the same. Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. You have a baked-in audience that loves what it is. And then they're like, hey, you know what will be really interesting if we go... They want us to go left. We're going to go right. Who is that modern audience? The modern audience that buys the Funko Pops, right? Just the Funko Pops. Nothing else. Come on, Jeffrey. The people that Star Wars and Marvel had and DC had, right? Those are the people that watched the movies, watched the shows, bought the comics, not just 1 or 2 issues. Like, literally, we're at the comic book store every single week, every single month, picking up the old copies, picking up the new copies, going volume after volume, right? Looking at all this stuff, right? Like, the fans are the ones that were looking and reading all of these comics of Silver Surfer, okay? All of these. They're like, yeah, I know every single one hands down. I'm not that person. But the people that are those people are the reason that Silver Surfer is as popular as it is. And there wouldn't be this many comics if the character didn't sell. And yet now you're picking and choosing a person that was in less than 5 comics, as we hear for this particular character. Okay, 4 issues, 4 pages. Sorry, 4 pages over 2 volumes. So ridiculous. But they don't have an agenda. No agenda. No agenda. Hence, we go to the next story. Indiana Jones financial statements confirm that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was another multi-million-dollar Disney flop. Okay, let me look up real fast. Let me look up, because I know it'll say it in the article, but I would like to look it up. Box Office Mojo real fast. This is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. That's a number you don't want to see. Okay, that's a number you don't want to see. Domestically, 174. They didn't even make their money back. Okay. I think it was $450 million was the budget, if I'm not mistaken. They made $383 million total worldwide, even if they put it on DVD, which they don't sell anymore, right? Because nobody wants physical copies of anything anymore. So, there you go. Backfired in your face. Because people buy it digitally, but not a lot of people are buying movies digitally. They just rent it off of Disney Plus or whatnot, right? Like, this is bad. So let's go back to Indiana Jones confirms that Dial of Destiny was yet a multi-million-dollar Disney flop. Okay. To the surprise of absolutely no one who has seen the abysmal sequel, I didn't see it, and I knew it was an abysmal thing before I even saw it. Okay. Okay. New financial filing from Disney has revealed that rather than being anywhere in the neighborhood of what anyone would call a success, last year Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny was but the last entry in a long list of big budget blockbusters that were disaster. Okay. As initially detailed by Ford, the confirmation of the Dial of Destiny's failure to land with audiences was revealed courtesy of filing made by the UK government by local Disney subsidiaries set up to helm the film's production and help qualify for the island's nations of movie tax credit. Even with the credits that they got, okay, and what the movie cost them, they didn't make their money back. And what I find funny is, here's that thing, right? A failure to land with the audience. Well, the audience they're looking for is not the audience that they made it for. This is what Disney did. They said, well, we own Lucas now, and what's a good franchise? Well, they loved Indiana Jones. It was huge. Indiana Jones back in, how can they not do that? They made the Crystal Skull, which doesn't exist to me. I didn't see it, so I don't know how bad that was. And then they're like, let's do it again. You knew something was wrong when Steven Spielberg and George Lucas was like, no, we're good. We're good. We don't need that. Okay. And it came out and nobody was surprised that this is a shit movie. Nobody. Okay. Now, maybe one of you will be like, no, I saw it. It was good. Congratulations. You were part of the audience that liked. Okay. Nobody else did. So much so that they lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. They probably needed $1 billion to make 900 million to $1 billion to be good. They made 380 million, which is absolutely, God, I would never show my face again if I was that director. Okay. Per box office tracking outlet, Box Office Mojo has cited that the aforementioned news outlet, their analysts, in the fifth film of the Indiana Jones franchise managed to glean over 383 million worldwide. Factoring approximately standard 50-50 split, both theaters and studios share regarding ticket sales. This left Disney with a rough take of $192 million when the film's theatrical run was said and done. Bravo. Bravo. I mean, congratulations, modern audience. Shit on character that everyone loved and bring in female to take place of man that everyone loved. Okay. Harrison Ford just probably needed the money. He's like, just kill me out of all your stuff. Okay. Per financial statement of the UK government in 2022, the House of Mouse spent roughly $308.2 million to produce the film. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Thanks to the qualifying of the UK's aforementioned tax credits, the time of 2022 filing roughly 2 years after filming The Dial of Destiny has begun, Disney has already been reimbursed approximately $58.3 million by the British government. However, according to the latest set of financial statements made by the government in 2023, Disney spent an additional $28 million on post-production to work on the de-aging Harrison Ford in the film's opening montage. Combined with the further $2.7 million tax credit, this brought the Dial of Destiny total cost of $326.2 million. Okay, and when the factors of Disney's $192 million box office share, the numbers ultimately reveal that they've also panned sequel lost their studio at least $134.2 million. This is also important note to qualify or the lead that these numbers do not take into account the film's marketing costs. That's right. Now you got to take an additional marketing cost, which is about half of the budget. So if it cost them $300 million, you got to add about another $150 million, maybe even $200. So it cost them about $500 to $600 million. Okay. In light of the standard true film budget formula, at least double the film's reported production budget. So one can presume that the Dial of Destiny somewhere cost in the ballpark of $652.4 million. Okay. Should it even be converse estimate hold true, that would mean that Disney lost closer to $460 million on their attempt to capitalize on the once beloved adventure franchise. I wonder if it was worth it. I wonder if it's still worth it. Okay. Yet again, Bob Iger, first story. Nothing's woke. We're not making woke content. We're making good entertainment. Okay. As noted above, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny is but the latest of Disney's recent films to be confirmed as a box office flop. And from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania to Element to Haunted Mansion to The Marvels. The Marvels is worse. The Marvels did worse than this. That's possible. Okay. With recent years, have Disney put out so many bombs that the once stellar reputation as standard entertainment has now been replaced with one of the shining examples of activism over entertainment of corporate greed. Okay. Again, Bob Iger's words, not mine. Nope. They're not doing anything. It's just entertainment. Just entertainment would be take said character, make another badass film. Nope. Got to talk down. You got to make sure that the males are idiots. You got to kill the male or hurt them really bad, save them multiple times. Okay. You got to make sure that you either race swap them, gender swap them, replace them all together, but no agenda. Nothing's happening, just entertainment. As long as the story is 10 out of 10, I'm willing to have Silver Surfer be a dog. Marvel, Is that down bad? Bethesda is going to be is going to ruin it as well. Do you think Bethesda's? I don't think Bethesda has anything to do with the Fallout series, if I'm not mistaken. I know Todd Howard was a consultant or whatnot, but I don't know if Bethesda has. There was a story that I read that they're not following the story verbatim, but they also takes place, I think, 7, something like that. It does connect to Fallout 3, Fallout 4, I think. I saw it immediately and bleached my brain. My dad saw it. My dad saw it and my son saw it because he watched it with grandpa. And they said it was fun, is what they said. Now, my dad will watch anything. So him telling me a movie's good doesn't mean it's good. He'll literally watch anything. He just wants to be he just wants to watch stuff. He's like, yeah, I saw it. That's good. Everything's good. Oh, I meant the Indiana Jones game. Okay. I thought you meant the movie. Or the Fallout series is what I thought you meant. We'll see what happens. The game looked good when I saw it, but we don't know much about it. Considering Disney loves to fudge the numbers, guaranteed they lost. Oh yeah, for sure. It's amazing. No agenda. And then we have the next story. No agenda. We're just making entertainment. It's making entertainment. Okay. One of the best Marvel shows out there was on Netflix. Okay, was the Daredevil show. Okay, if you've never watched the Daredevil Netflix show, you gotta watch. Season 1 of Daredevil is probably some of the best Marvel show, movie, whatever. It's the best. Okay. So good. Okay. And then Disney got the rights back, and now they're bringing Daredevil. And remember, Feige didn't want anything to do with it. The fans wanted them to use the characters and bring them over to Disney. And they said, no. Okay, we're not doing that. And then all of a sudden they did. And then She-Hulk came out, and they brought back Charlie Cox. Okay, and they made him do the walk of shame. They made him do the walk of shame. Then they brought him and put him into Echo in a scene that didn't happen in the actual show, okay? And if it did, it was just that one scene and never seen again. They brought him and put him into the Spider-Man film, and now they filmed 12 episodes of Daredevil and then said, this is not looking good, right? This is not looking good. We need to erase all 12 episodes. We're going to redo everything of the 12 of the 18 episodes. So they restarted doing all of the episodes again, okay? Cubsy says, what the fuck is that title? The new Daredevil Born Again set photos confirm series will adapt the storyline where Punisher confronts police officers for using his logo. I don't know. These titles of these articles are out of control. Okay, so Frank Castle is known for taking down drug dealers, mob bosses, violent crimes, and now with Daredevil Born Again, police officers. Okay, so the Punisher has a long-standing history of being on the Marvel's most popular characters, and his logo is known in the world for both over comic book fans and regular audiences alike. However, over the time period, a number of industry professionals, including some former Punisher creators, have grown resentful for certain individuals who have taken and wearing his logo, mainly right-wingers and police officers. Okay, do you see what Disney's doing here? Again, just making entertainment, right? So last year, after reportedly going through half the footage from the 18 episodes shown while production was on hiatus due to the SAG-AFTRA strikes, reports claim that Marvel Studios executives, as well as the head honcho Kevin Feige, had chosen to take down Daredevil Born Again back to drawing board. In the light of revamping, recent months have seen various set photos from the Disney Plus series leaks online, all of which have gotten glimpses into the Man Without Fear's new direction. To the end, a new set of leaked photos depicting actor Jeremy Earl in character as police officer Cole North wearing a Punisher logo spray painted on his tactical gear. Notably, North's fashion choice appears to confirm a previous rumor that suggested Daredevil Born Again would see Disney bringing a life to the Punisher comic book storyline where Frank confronts the lambast police officer who are fans of his work. Now, if you guys didn't know this story, I don't know if it was here in Florida or something as well. Police officers started using his logo, and they changed his logo in the comics because they were taking it and making it part of, this is what they were spinning it as a right-winger group, okay? So obviously, so in 2017, The Punisher Volume 12 has written by Becky Coolin. A scene occurs where which Frank is finding his number of cops are looking up to him as a heroic symbol and rips the Punisher's sticker off the squad car before chasing the officers for the fascism. It only says it once, and he tells the boys in blue, "We're not the same. You took an oath and uphold the law, and you help people, and we give it a long time ago, and you don't do that. What nobody does. You the boys need a role model. His name is Captain America, and he'll be happy to have." Okay, so the Punisher newfound hatred for police officers mirrors the sentiment of the creator Gary Conway. In 2019 interview, Sci-Fi Conway asserted that he found disturbing whenever authority figures embraced the Punishers because in his view, exists as an anti-hero represented as failure of the justice system. It says, quote, "We're supposed to indicate the collapse of social morale, authority, and really have some people can deplete installation of like police and military, the act of just having the capable way." And he explained that the vigilante anti-hero fundamentally is a critique of the justice system, an example of social failure, and also has the cops put Punisher skulls on their cars, or members of the military wear Punisher skulls patches, and basically hides within the enemy of a system. It also goes without saying that concluded with the way of the office, the offensive of putting the flag on the government building. This is my point of view of the Punisher as the anti-hero, someone who might root for while remembering his also an outlaw and criminal. Conway also further details, it's an officer of law representing the justice system and puts a criminal symbol on the police car and shares a challenge coins, honoring the criminal as he or she is making a very advanced statement about the understanding of the law. Okay, but again, Disney is not making any kind of statements or anything. They're just making it. You see the theme throughout the entire night here. All right, so not only is the Punisher-related individual to have called out, but also viewed as a misappropriation of the hero's logo. In 2021, a tweet character of Netflix Daredevil born-again series actor John Berthal replied to a fan who refused to allow to so-called nutjobs to steal the logo by asserting, "I'm with you. These people are misguided, loss-affaired, and declared, and they also have nothing to do with Frank stands for and is about." As for why people are running Marvel Comics today, holds a deep-seated hatred for the Punisher and his fan base, comics legend Chuck Dixon, who also himself has penned a number of anti-heroes adventures, including the Punisher Volume 2, Punisher Volume War Zero Volume 1, and previously explained that they have contempt for the Punisher, as his new crowd of editors is in addition to their contempt for the Punisher, and think the current crop of editors has a deep-seated dislike for the police and military as well. So I'm sure the Daredevil Born Again series will be just fine, just be entertainment. It won't have any kind of connections to what's happening in the world, who's going back into the voting pool this year. I'm sure none of that's in coherence of what's happening in the real world compared to what's happening in the show that was supposed to be out already, but got canceled, redone completely, brought the Punisher in, by the way, and then also has this going on. But again, I'm sure there's just entertainment. Sure, they're just making entertainment and not trying to do anything nefarious in any way, shape, right? Let's see. It did happen though because of the corrupt cops. Also, you also know how much Marvel hates their own characters. They literally cucked Spider-Man and the Punisher in the comics. I mean, Frank hates cops, so sure, Travis. But the Punisher wasn't supposed to be in the Daredevil show. They had 12 episodes done. Something was going on with it. They did rewrites, reshoots, they scrapped the whole thing, went to redo it, brought John Berthal in for the Punisher, and now they're doing a storyline. And again, maybe I'm reaching to connect the points here, but we all know that there's an election going on this year, right? We all know there's an election going on this year. We know who the person that people don't want in office, okay? And there's stuff like this that's happening. I smell a Henry Cavill or Gina Carano situation coming. Perhaps. A clip says, Frank doesn't hate cops. Right, corrupt. He hates bad cops. As long as the Punisher looks like like Joe Biden and his girlfriend looks like Donald Trump, I'll watch it. What's going on, Match? Thank you very much for the membership. Appreciate that. Well, they originally probably didn't have enough pointless dialogue. Perhaps. I look, I obviously I did it on purpose tonight by putting the first story with Bob Iger talking about how Disney is not woke and they're just making entertainment. They don't have an agenda. And then every story that's in the news this past week is something that Disney did in some way, shape, or form and ruined the movie, the character, the franchise, right? Because they didn't have an agenda. And all the stuff that I brought up, they had an agenda or do have an agenda. We can all admit this, right? From a standpoint of just being a person in the world, that television companies are owned by corporations. Corporations have big parts to do in who's the leader of what state, country, and whatnot. And we do understand that television was literally made, right? All entertainment purposes were made for propaganda. Disney was one of the leading people back in the day when Walt Disney started for propaganda. That's why just television in general is made for that, okay? So this is not new as far as being politically aligned with certain one side or the other. Cartman's running Disney right now. Berthal gives me some hope for the show. Yeah, look, I like the character. But here's the thing, Krebsy. Do you really think that Daredevil and the Punisher are going to be the same characters they were in the rated R Netflix? Yeah, Shadow's like, no, right? They're doing exactly what they did with Star Wars and any other franchise. They know that you love Charlie Cox as Daredevil. They know that you love John Berthal as the Punisher. Just like you like Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, okay? They know you like these characters. They're going to bring you in because they know that you like those characters, and yet they're going to shit on you just like they did with the other characters before them. Oh, for sure, Kudapapa. Yeah, there was swastikas and stuff inside the old cartoons and what, right? Oh, it was funny. Today, we were listening to the radio. I went to breakfast with my wife. We were listening to the radio, and they were talking about how the collider thing that I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, you know, the things that smashes atoms together. And remember when I said that the Mandela effect thing was happening, and I said the collider went off in like 2008, and in 2009 is like when 2008 and then 2009 is when the Mandela effect happened, right? And I said it's because of the collider thing. So they were talking about something like this on the radio today, and they were talking about the Mandela effect, and then my wife brought up and said, you know, the Monopoly guy doesn't have a monocle. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, the Monopoly guy has a monocle. I was like, even in Ace Ventura, like he says a line where he says, oh, look, it's the Monopoly guy, and the guy has a monocle. Okay. Well, if you look it up now, he doesn't have a monocle. Right. And I was like, oh, that's just a redesign. They're like, no, it never existed. And I was like, hold up. I go to this breakfast place all the time. I know the waitress. She's 20 years younger than me, right? She's like mid-20, okay? And I went up to her and I said, didn't say it was a Mandela effect or anything. Didn't say anything, okay? I just said to her, I said, do you know the Monopoly guy? And she goes, yeah, the guy with the monocle. And I looked at my wife and I went, bam. I was like, she just said the guy with the monocle. And then I said to her, I said, he doesn't have a monocle. She's like, what do you mean? It's like 100% has a monocle. I said, no, he doesn't. And she's like, get out. And she looked it up. And then she started, I go, how would a person that I have no connection with whatsoever, how would she say the exact same thing as me if it never existed? She's 20 years younger than me, and she remembers a monocle, right? Nope, Mr. Peanut has the monocle. No, the Monopoly guy has a monocle. I can prove it because if I don't have it with me right now, but we have an old Monopoly game, okay? We have a Monopoly original board game from like 1982, okay? And he has a monocle. That's it, Krubsy. Yeah, that collider. They're doing another test this week during the eclipse or some shit. Yeah, and there's a bunch of stuff like that. And it's just funny because a lot of people remember certain things, but it's like, if it was like a one-off and someone remembered it and nobody else did, it wouldn't be weird. But like literally thousands and millions of people remember one way and the other people remember another. But why? So they're just erasing history or some kind of, he says, no longer has a monocle. Well, there's two things, right? There's a lot of things for the Mandela effect, okay, where certain things, okay, it was there, but then certain companies changed their logos, okay, and then it doesn't exist anymore because they're like, oh, these are all our logos, and they change logos all the time, right? But they say that this doesn't exist at all for certain examples in this Mandela effect thing. Well, no, Reese, even the people, okay, there's another example, okay? There's another example of, remember the movie, I think it was called, I don't remember if it was called Kazam or, I forget what it was called. It wasn't with Shaq. It was with Sinbad, okay? It was a movie where he was a genie, and it doesn't exist. Sinbad himself said he was never in a movie that way. But yet there's people that literally have the DVD or VHS, I should say, the VHS tape, and they've shown it. They've taken video of the movie, okay? And yet they say that movie didn't exist. And I'm like, that's crazy. I remember watching that movie as a kid. I never owned it, right? But I remember watching it and seeing it. There's so many of them. So they erased the monocle. That's not really a Mandela effect. No, they didn't erase it. They said it never existed. Monopoly's company said it never existed, right? Same with the cornucopia from Fruit of the Loom. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, we'll have a little fun before I log out, okay? Who remembers Jiffy or Jif? Does anybody remember Jiffy? I remember Jiffy. Didn't exist, okay? Looney Tunes or Looney Tune, okay? Now, I remember Looney Tune. Didn't exist. This is how it's always been. Jiffy wouldn't fit on the package. It did. The Berenstein Bears or the Berenstain Bears. Okay. Curious George. Tail or no tail, right? Tail or no tail. I remember with him a tail, but it was the older version of him, not this version of him. It was like the really old book, right? But never was there. Never had a tail. Is it Sex in the City or Sex and the City? I remember N in the City, but people say it was Sex in the City, but I don't remember that. For Breeze, I don't know. I think it had the double E, but I don't know this one, right? Oscar Mayer, I remember this one. Skechers, I didn't know. Is it Sketchers or Skeechers, right? There's no T or never was a T. Fruit Loops, I remember this one. I don't remember Fruit Loop with fruit. I remember the O's. Oscar Myers and his cheaper brother Oscar Mayer. I don't remember the turkey leg. This one. The problem now with this is that because AI is so good, people can just fucking make something and you just don't know anymore. But the monocle, this right here is what I remember. And I thought they just got rid of the monocle, right? But it says here, the fact that it doesn't have one. This is some suggested might be as simple as confusing between him and the Planters Peanut Company mascot. I'm not missing the monocle guy. Right? I would have to ask Sarge to get the box because it's at my mom's house. Okay. Pikachu, I remember no black tail. Okay. I remember just yellow. Well, people remember him with a black tail. But then again, I'm also not a Pokemon fan, so I would not be good. The Kit Kat, I remember the dash. Okay. No dash. Okay. It says just an existential crisis about the fact there's no hyphen in between Kit Kat. Know that you're not alone. When I was growing up, Kit Kat had a dash. The dash was fucking there. The dash was there. This one right here, 1,000% there was a cornucopia. 1,000%. They say there's never been, okay? Never been a cornucopia. I remember my whitey tighties as a kid, okay? And it had a goddamn cornucopia, okay? The Cheez-Its, I don't remember this. So I have no preference of which one was it. I don't remember. Correct. Logos change, but there's certain companies that said no, we never did that. Now, here's another thing. It's easy just to say no, we didn't do it just to fuck with people, but there's some people that just don't remember that, right? Double stuff or double stuff, right? 2 F's or 1 F. Mona Lisa's smile. Okay. Now this one, okay, even the biggest Star Wars fans, Halloween costume sites, get it wrong. The robot isn't all gold. He has 1 silver piece on his right leg. He was gold. Now there is one where he has like the red arm and stuff like that, but he was gold. But they're saying that he has a white leg or silver leg. Okay. Then there's the Flintstones, and then there's the Flintstone. Okay. Flintstones. Meet the Flintstone. Not the Flintstone. The Flint. So those are just a couple. It's crazy, right? And when you go to the original toy, okay? Here, when you go to the original toy, there's no fucking silver leg. Now they do have a silver leg, okay? There's no silver leg, okay? C3PO was all gold. Don't fucking tell me that he had a silver leg, okay? I have the original. We have the original, okay? Gold, not silver. People telling me that I'm crazy, right? Here, you want to see something funny? Here, you're telling me there's no Monopoly guy. No Monopoly. Get it big enough. Let me see if I can get it on YouTube. Hold on. Look at that. TikTok. Why does it keep opening TikTok? I don't want TikTok. I just want YouTube. Now, why would he say that? Why would he say that you must be the Monopoly guy if the Monopoly guy never had a monocle? Huh? Who wants to explain that to me? Anybody? Do you know why it was funny back then? Because that's what the fucking Monopoly guy looked like, waiting not to see the monocle. Explain it. How does Ace Ventura? See, and that's the problem with the Mandela effect. There's proof of things that people say didn't exist, which then kind of gets me wondering, why are they trying to change fucking things to say that they didn't exist when 100% they did? And sometimes movies tell the truth because they had lines that said it, which are encapsulated in time the entire time. So I find it funny. I always like having these conversations, though. There's another one with Forrest Gump. Captain Thrust says, I bet you Ace Ventura gets a remake soon. They'll say the line, but they'll say, guy walk down the stairs, I'll have no monocle. And then they'll say, you must be the Monopoly guy. So in Forrest Gump, people say that he says the line of life is like a box of chocolate, and that's it, right? Life is like a box of chocolate. That's all he said. But I know right now, the rest of you are finishing the line, okay? You know the line because that's what he says. He says, life is like a box of chocolate. My mama always told me life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get, right? But he never says that. That's what people tell me. And I'm like, the fuck you talking about? He always said, you never know what you're gonna get. But they say that he doesn't say that in the movie. So now I gotta go back to my movie and I gotta look at it to see if it's on my actual DVD that he says, life is like, my mama always said, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. The one that got me was the end of the Queen song, We Are the Champion. What is that one? What's that one? Are you saying he doesn't say we are the champion? We are the champions of the world. Are you saying he doesn't say that? He doesn't say of the world? He just says we are the champion? He never says of the world. The fuck that. Shit like that pisses me off. I know he says it. See, now, if he doesn't say it, how are there multiple people from all over the world on the same page saying, no, he does say it? You see what I'm saying? Come on, Maloney. Name the famous line from Jaws. We need a bigger boat. Is that the one you're asking? We need a bigger boat? Is that the one you're asking? Because it's not, we're going to need a bigger boat. What does he say? What's the line then? You're telling me I made up that line. I made up that line that everyone knows that line, but I made it up. You're going to need a bigger boat. It's crazy to me. Yeah, the line from Darth Vader is he doesn't say, it's the most iconic line in the movie. I just find it funny that this, and again, when I look up stuff, right? When I look up stuff, what is that thing called again? What was that collider called again? The Herodin collider? Yeah, Herodin collider. Okay. Now I know I'm gonna be okay. So hold on one second. I hear sirens outside. Okay. So here's my theory, right? It's a theory. A game theory. No. It's a theory. Okay. So this collider. Okay. And we're just having fun here. Okay. Theory. Okay. This collider opened up October 21st, 2008. Okay. 2000, right? The Mandela effect happened in 2009. That's my theory. Okay. A thing that opens up and smashes atoms together and does stuff. Okay. Whatever the fuck it does. Okay. Opened up just about 6 months before when the Mandela effect happened. What's the name of the monster in Gremlin? You mean Stripe? Is that what you're asking? James Cagney never said you dirty rat. What does E.T. say when his finger glows? E.T. phone home. That's my theory, I'll turn. Because a thing that takes and opens up whatever it does, it smashes atoms, it opens up fucking black holes or whatever the fuck it does. I feel like they turned on the machine and it did something, and in a split second it just changed stuff. Humphrey Bogart never said play it again, Sam. I said Stripe. I didn't say Spike. I said Stripe. His name's Stripe because he's got a mohawk, got a stripe. Smashes atoms so hard it erased history. I don't know if it erased history. I think it opened up something. And this is why half the people on planet Earth think it says one thing and the other half thinks it's the other. Who knows here? I mean, kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Put your tinfoil hat on. I didn't say it's fact. So who thinks that Tom Hanks doesn't say life is like a box of chocolate, you never know what you're gonna get? No, if you build it, they will come. I thought it was. Or no. If you build it, he will come. I think it's he. I'm not sure. I think it's he will come. No, it's they. It's they. I'm not really too sure, though. I think it's they will come. Because in the movie, they're speaking of the team. The team will come and play, and his father's on the team. It says he will come. You know what the funny part is? It won't let me do captions. It won't let me do captions. The misquoted line is spoken by Ray Kinsella, played by Kevin Costner, in the field of the film Field of Dreams. While wandering in the cornfield, Ray, he says, "Here's a strange whisper. If you build it, he will come." This is the line from 1989 Kevin Costner movie film Dreams. It means if you create something that everybody needs, wants, they will come. Does he say it both? Is the whisper he will come, but then he says later in the movie, it's been many years since I watched it, they will come? He is for his father. They had to do with the fans coming. That's what I thought. Isn't it said both ways? The whisper to him says he, but then later in the movie, doesn't he say if I build it, they will come? Isn't that what it is? Good movie. I'm gonna get hit for this, but that's why I'm not showing it, by the way.
Ray. Come, Ray.
Yeah, see, people will come.
Well, now.
One constantly marked by like an arm race, like a black time. Part of our path. Mine come death.
Ray.
I'm just waiting to see if there's another line. Oh, I forgot. Is that Ray Liotta that plays his father? I doesn't say it there. Oh no, Ray Liotta is not his father. That's the other guy in the outfield. Yeah. I forgot that he's even in the fucking film. I love the guy that does the actor is good in it in the Sandlot too. You mean James Earl Jones? You mean Darth Vader? Eclipse? I love the guy the actor. You mean James Earl Jones? Darth Vader? Come on now. Big T says I've watched Tenet way too many times to be freaked out by this conversation. Thank goodness. I've never seen Tenet. I've never seen that movie. Captain Kirk never says, beam me up, Scotty. He never says that? You know, it's a lot harder to have a conversation like this now because over the years, now AI and stuff can change things. You know what I mean? Alien says, no, Captain Kirk never said that. Mickey Mouse doesn't have suspenders. He's never had suspenders? I don't know if he might not have suspenders now. I mean, I didn't say he did, but I mean, there are things that he did wear suspenders. So they would be red. So am I not seeing that? Is that real? Mickey Mouse is not wearing red suspenders there? I mean, in this cartoon, he's wearing suspenders also. Those are also red suspenders. And in this one, in Snow White, what's the line is said in the mirror? Isn't it who's the fairest of them all? See, I never thought Mickey Mouse wore suspenders. That wasn't a weird one for me. Before that, mirror, mirror on the wall. That one? Or is it just mirror on the wall? Krebsy's going down the rabbit hole. He's like typing in a whole bunch of stuff. He's like, it's not mirror, mirror. It's magic mirror. Oh, for God's sake. No fucking way. No fucking way. It's mirror, mirror. I draw the line right there, Krebsy. It's mirror, mirror on the wall. Unless the person that said magic mirror on the wall had like a lisp or something. I don't believe it. I call bullshit. First of all, I don't even know if this trailer is the real one or not, so.
Come through, summon thee. Speak. Let me see. Who is the fair?
Son of a bitch.
Who is the fair?
I can't trust it. She says magic mirror. Son of a bitch. Life's not real. It's not real. There's so many things that say mirror, mirror on the wall. Apparently we're just idiots, I guess. I don't trust it. When was the Cruella film released? That's what Emma Stone, right? Wasn't that released during like the pandemic? I'm not sure. I don't know. Wasn't that 2018, 19? I don't know. 2021. Something is 2011. Yeah, I knew it was newer. No, it definitely wasn't 2011. I was gonna say 20, but that's why I said during the pandemic, and then I went earlier than the pandemic. But I could have sworn it was the pandemic because I remember watching it. It was one of those movies that didn't do very well because of it. But the pandemic was 2020, right? It was like started March of 2020. What's the castle at Magic Kingdom called? It's Cinderella's castle. You talking about Disney World? Or are you talking about the castles are different in every place? The main part is Cinderella's castle. You're like, this one's shit. you know what? One of the things that threw me off years ago, airplane with the engine. For some reason in my head, when I was a kid, I remember the engines underneath the wing, right? On like commercial airlines, but the engines sit in front of the wing. Sword in the Stone. He pulled the sword out of the stone. That Magic Kingdom. It's not a stone, it's an anvil. Is the movie called Sword in the Anvil? Sword in the Stone, but he pulls it out of an anvil. Interesting. Oh yeah, it's an anvil. Look at that. But it's an anvil on a stone. So is the anvil chiseled out from the stone? Because then it would still be a stone shaped as an anvil. Damn those evil dogs for killing her mom. It's actually a pretty good movie. It's actually a pretty good movie. Oh, what time is it? 12:30? I think we're good. Yeah, the mirror on the wall thing, that fucked me up. Yeah, see, there's pictures of. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not crazy, right? There's pictures, and again, you can't, where the engine was literally attached to the wing. Like, it was the entire, like, underneath the wing, right? But now, airplane where the engine's in front of the wing, right? Like, they're like, yeah, it's always been like that. I'm like, no, there used to be underneath the wing. It used to be the engine was the entire underneath the wing, but now it sits in front of the wing. And I personally just think they've changed it over time. But they say no, it's never been underneath the wing. But yet there's pictures that say otherwise. They just hate with the whole sympathetic villain thing. Well, I think for that it's like an origin story, right? Shadow. So it's not to be sympathetic. It's the origin story of how they became evil. You don't have to feel sympathetic for them. They're just telling you the story and how, like, it's a backstory of why is this person so evil? Sure. And I think over time, Krebs, they've changed it. But they're saying it never was. And I'm like, me? It's really easy because back in the day, we didn't have cameras and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have instant cameras. You had to get footage and there's less proof of stuff, right? But I definitely remember flying on Eastern Airlines and the engine was underneath the wing. I'm sure technology-wise and what they've accomplished and changed things, they've shifted the engine where it's the front of the wing. But to tell me it was never there, I'm like, I remember it. Fucking Sword in the Stone. At least I was right about the gold leg. The 737-200 is the whole wing. Yeah. See, I remember that. Yeah. See. Yeah. I'm not crazy. Right. So Eastern Airline used to have the engines underneath on certain planes. All right. Good times. I'm looking at all these pictures and stuff now, but it's like 12:30 at night. We'll be back Monday morning. We'll be coming back Monday morning for some gaming news right here on 30NSG. If you want to watch the stuff that we talked about tonight, this will be over on Nerding with 30. I'm gonna take it off of this channel and move it over to Nerding with 30. It'll come up later this week. Appreciate it very much for coming out and hanging out with us. Krebs, you had some shrooms a little while ago and is bent on redefining reality. I believe the smaller planes still have the engines underneath the wing. I'm okay if they have the wings where they're in front and under. People just say that they didn't exist, and I'm like, I know they existed. I know they existed. They were underneath the wing. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the Mandela effect, about how certain things people remember. Like the Monopoly guy we talked about earlier, where it said the Monopoly guy doesn't have a monocle. I'm like, he does have a monocle. He had a monocle when I was younger. I showed a clip of Ace Ventura saying, hey, you must be the Monopoly guy. And he had the monocle. So like for people to say he doesn't have a monocle, I'm like, well, he did. They could have redesigned it. And he doesn't have a monocle now, but he had a monocle. I think it's interesting though. I think it's interesting that a group of people remember one thing while another group of people remember something else. And it's just weird. Regardless of what it is, people remember one way and they're like, no, I know it was like that. And people are like, nope, never like that. It's definitely an interesting, it's definitely interesting. And my theory about it, sometimes it's a generational thing. Well, it's funny because super tinfoil hat thing. The collider that they opened up, it opened up in 2000, right? And the Mandela effect happened in 2009. The thing that like smashes atoms together. Like there was no Mandela effect up until 2009, but the collider opened up on 2008. So my theory is something fucking happened with science experiment happened and it affected the population of the planet Earth of thinking one way or the other. No proof, just coincidentally, the thing that smashes atoms and opens up holes, and then the Mandela effect happened shortly after that. But who knows? Who knows, right? It's a large collider and the world's largest and the highest energy particle collider. It was built in the European Organization Nuclear Research between 1998 and 2008. The collaboration with over 10,000 scientists and hundreds of universities and laboratories across more than 100, right? Like, what does it do, right? What does it do? The first collision, let's see, per beam, about 4 times the previous world record, discovers the Higgs Boston, okay, announced in 2012 between 2013 and 2015, shut down to upgrade. After the upgrade, it reached per beam. At the end of 2018, it shut down for maintenance and further upgrades, reopening over 3 years later in April of 2022. I know they're doing something soon. Purpose. Physics to hope a large collider will help answer some of the fundamental open questions of physics which concern the basic laws of governing interaction force among elemental particles, a deep structure, space, and time, and particularly internal between quantum mechanics and general relativity. The high-energy particle experiment can provide data to support different scientific models. For example, standard model, Endless model requires high energy particle experiment predictions and how further theoretical development of standard model. Explore some question model designed to contain a cellular tunnel. Care about that. Doesn't really tell you what it does. They're like, yeah, it just does stuff. We're just testing things. We don't want you to really know what it does. It just tears open things in the time continuum. It's fine. You want a rabbit hole? Look into the collider, the conspiracies around it. All right, here, hold on. We're not ending yet. We're going deeper. We're going deeper. Okay, so the collider has sparked numerous conspiracy theories, including fears of creating black holes, opening portals on other dimensionals, and even causing earthquake. There's a whole other thing that opens up there, huh? I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it's nothing, just like the first story where Bob Iger says, Disney's not pushing anything on you. We're just there for entertainment. Sure, I'm sure it's fine. We need a tinfoil hat emoji. We could just do the one I have where it's, oh my god. So the earthquakes this past week is because of one charging of the collider. I'm not saying that. I didn't say that. I'm not saying that. It says it could cause. That's a conspiracy theory. It says it caused earthquake. It did. I just said it. I mean, it is kind of odd that you have to build this gigantic thing underneath a fucking mountain so you could make particles, right? Seems there's people who are like, hey, I want to build something on this land. They're like, nah, it doesn't make sense. They're like, I would like to build this giant contraption underground, and that it's like it's just gonna smash atoms. And what's it gonna do? Nothing. Theories. Just gonna do some theories about stuff, turn it on every once in a while. It hasn't done that many things, by the way. It goes off and then it closes down for a couple of years. So it makes you wonder what the hell's going on there. It took them like a decade to make, and then it shut down for 3 years for renovation. I mean, cool. First collision, right? The first collision was achieved in 2010. That just means successful collision. What happened to all the other time, right? Then it closed down, okay? And then between 2013 and 2015, it shut down to upgrade. Then they did the upgrades, and then at the end of 2018, it shut down for maintenance for further upgrades, reopening over 3 years, and then in April of 2022. So it's been open for 2 years, and the first time it made a collision was in 2010, I guess, successful collision. What was the unsuccessful collision? Well, even if it's not doing anything, I don't think it's right to put extra particles in the universe like it has to be messing with something, right? Maybe. I don't know. And then it's about 100 years from now, the collider will be featured on a TV show, Mysteries of the Abandoned, right? Like, what was this thing? Made ice cream. Like, what is it? It's all scientific jargon. They don't actually tell you. They're just like, yeah, it just does stuff. It's like it's crazy. It's gigantic. And this is just one of them. There's other ones around the world, I believe. Hold on. I'm pretty sure there's multiple. There's a lot of smaller ones. Yeah, they're all over the place. I think that's the world's largest one, but there's other ones. Oh, do they? Reese? Interesting.
Improvements. Scientists around the globe, the upgrade gene, which is massive, will be able to detect new parts and start a physics revolution that could forever change our understanding of the whole universe. A science correspondent.
What could go wrong?
It's like a medieval castle. You have to have a wide road gap.
Deep underground, Dr. Marcello Bonner shows the heart of the Large Hadron Collider.
So this is the first time Tektron, wow.
7,000 tons of engineering, built tech mine part created by crash together.
It's one of the best shows you all
Huge
imagine.
mad work. This is the detector that was responsible for one of the most science, the discovery of the Higgs boson. Just been upgraded, and the hope is it'll discover more parts that are completely new to science.
Yeah, what could go wrong? No. Finding new particles out of thin air.
Could transform our understanding of the universe.
We are looking at for a lot of phenomena. Dark matter, for example, look direct at dark matter.
Could this be one of the biggest discoveries ever?
I'd say yes. I'd say yes. The majority of that dark matter we have.
But why?
At the moment, yes, credit.
Dark matter is shown purple in the simulation space. The bright areas are galaxies, stars, planets, make the universe. The researchers here hope to produce dark particles by accelerating the inside of atoms close to the speed of light around a 27-kilometer ring and then crashing them together.
Oh my god. What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
It's what compresses the magnet.
These are the giant magnets steer the path around the ring, focused to a narrow beam.
I feel like when they do the testing on these things, I feel like what they do is they like, you know that, what was that movie where they like stand back and he's about to hit the button, but he covers his nuts, right? Like he covers his balls first and then he pushes the button because he, I feel like that's what they do. They're like, all right, we're ready. We're all going to start this up. Yeah, we're going to start smashing atoms. All right, here we go. I'm just going to back up a little bit. Like, what are we doing this for?
They've been...
This is dark matter. Yeah, you know, just, it's called dark matter. You know the dark matter, we just played South Park last week. That's also called dark matter. A little different, though.
Proved too, so that there'll now be double the number of collisions, greatly...
Right, Eclipse? Isn't that what black holes are made of? That can't be good.
Increase the new part.
For all the physics that we've done since the startup of the LHC, the last 10 years, we'll be able to actually get the same amount of data in the next 3 years as we did in those 10 years. And there is also the chance that by both increasing the energy of the LHC done slightly and in seeing more of these collisions, that there is something else out there to be discovered.
The electronics has also been upgraded to keep up with the increased data. Researchers here are also hoping to
That guy's got a mask on. He's not doing anything with it, though. You might as well just take the mask off, buddy.
get confirmation new fifth force of nature.
I've been hunting for the fifth force for as long as I've been a particle physicist, and maybe this is the year. This would upend the field. It would be the biggest discovery of the sonar. I think the biggest discovery
Since ever. I don't know what he's stuttering for. Since ever.
bigger than the Higgs.
The particles that are created are going in every direction.
Researchers here are excited about what the newly upgraded Large Hadron Collider could achieve. Could help them make discoveries, lead to the greatest shift in our understanding of the universe since Einstein's theories more than 100 years ago.
You know what'd be funny? Right from this, they go, this could be the biggest discovery ever. In other news, did the Monopoly guy have a monocle? People are saying no, he didn't. Like right after. Be like, wait a minute.
Palab Ghosh, BBC News, at the Large Hadron Collider on the Swiss-French border.
In other news, what could go wrong, chat? What could go wrong? I'm sure everything's fine. Right, T? Yeah. There's a dog with a hat sitting in a burning house saying everything's fine. It's working there. I remember during a pandemic, whenever I saw people wearing the mask under their nose, it would drive me nuts. Yeah, because it was no point. But we all know now there was no point for it at all anyway, right? Well, it turns like, can't even put on a mask on correctly, but he's okay with creating dark matter. Go wrong. These are the people that don't know how to put masks on, but they're in charge of making dark matter. Did you see how she described it? She's like, atoms are just going everywhere. They go outside like this. They're like, yeah, but how big does it become? We smash atoms. It just goes out. What they don't show you, they showed you for a split second, right? They have these. There's another longer video. Is there another longer video? I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to go down the black hole here. You guys want to go? Yeah, let's go deeper. Let's. You know, I said good night and I was gonna leave, but fuck it. We're going deeper.
Circle so big.
It's Friday night.
It would take you nearly 6 hours to walk around it just once, and then crashes them. That machine is the Large Hadron Collider. It's the world's biggest and most powerful particle accelerator, a multi-billion-dollar instrument. And here's the thing, it freaks people out. If you begin to type the words Large Hadron Collider into Google right now, one of the Google searches that'll come out asks whether to destroy the world. Well, it hasn't done that top story, but as of this week, it has discovered 3 new particles which could...
Would anyone be surprised if just one day they're like, yeah, the scientists with the collider, the whole facility blew up and it opened up a black hole? Would everyone be like shocked about this? Be like, well, they couldn't control it. Be like, I think I've seen this before. This was in Stranger Things, wasn't it?
Could help us learn how our universe was born, what its future looks like.
Someone hand me a joint. Let's get weird. Let's do it.
To help break this down. Dr. Demers is a professor of physics at Yale University. Dr. Demers, thank you so much for being here.
I'm very happy to be here.
So let's start with the layman's terms here. Explain to me as simply as you can, what is the Large Hadron Collider?
It's a thing that can ruin the world. Oh, I mean, it makes little particles. It's like a sparkler.
And what does it do?
It is our largest collider in the world. Some people describe it as the world's biggest freezer. It's also the world's biggest vacuum chamber, so it has lots of superlatives. But the goal is to get fundamental particles moving as fast as we possibly can, very, very close to the speed of light, and then we smash them together. You can think about this a little bit like a time machine.
I love what she's saying. I love what she's saying. She's saying it out loud. She's saying the inner monologue stuff out loud.
We're going back to the conditions that were very soon after the Big Bang. And by doing this, we're able to explore the fundamental particles in the makeup of the universe and the way those particles interact with each other. So the goal really is fundamental science. How does it work?
Fundamental science. We're trying to figure out how to make a universe on our planet.
And this, I assume, is why this thing costs so many billions of dollars and has brought together scientists from all over the world. You've essentially created a simulation of the early days of the universe here on Earth, and everybody can draw.
No, it's not a simulation. They are literally trying to create the universe in a collider on Earth.
On it from together, am I right about that?
That's right. And it takes all of us. It takes the entire community to come together in order to make this
Don't include me in this. I'm not part of this.
happen. And actually thousands of us to keep it running and make sense of the data from it.
And as I understand it, you have now bumped up into, or I don't know quite what the verb is to use here, right? But you have discovered exotic new particles. Tell me about that. What does that mean?
It means that we understand quite a bit about the matter that we can see around us.
I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. I'm going to rewind that for a second.
Exotic new particles. Tell me about
exotic new particles. They really know how to market it and sell it like sexy. Exotic new particles.
that. What does that mean?
It means that we understand quite a bit about the matter that we can see around us. People are familiar maybe with the atoms. You learn about the structure of the atoms. But it's possible when we have access to even higher energies to create particles that aren't around typically in nature.
But why? Again, I keep asking, but why? Why do I need stuff that doesn't exist on the planet right now?
We have to create them in our high energy
So you're being a god. You're literally trying to create things that don't exist.
collisions. And those are the kinds of particles that were only around very early in the
Aren't they playing with fire? Well, technically they're playing with atoms.
universe when there was that much energy density and energy available. So we're able to study those exotic particles that otherwise we wouldn't have access to. And it's surprising how much those kinds of particles can actually teach us about the universe as a whole.
Well, connect that for me, right? When we think about trying to, there's what you and I can observe with our eyes and our ears, measure in the ways that, I might think of as the conventional ways to measure things, but you are simulating early conditions that we have never really been able to watch.
Not simulating. Again, they're not simulating. They're actually doing.
In any real sense before now. So what are the implications of being able to see these particles for the first time? What are you going to do with that information?
Well,
I can't tell you, Steve. If I tell you, we're gonna have to kill you.
we have a lot of questions. There's quite a bit that we've learned.
Okay, he asked a question and she literally doesn't answer it right from the start. Here, let's look. Watch her face. Watch her eyes when he's asking the questions
that we have never really been able to watch in any real sense before now. So what are the implications of being able to see these particles for the first time? What are you going to do with that information?
Well, we have a lot of questions. There's quite a bit that we've learned.
Like they're taking out the trash. They're just like, well, you see, we're gonna figure it out as we go.
About the fundamental particles in the universe, but it seems that every time we learn something, there are more questions that come along with it. So I think by creating these exotic particles and
exotic. Remember, they're marketing it here. Exotic particles.
Matter, we're trying to, how did we end up with the universe that we have now?
I can tell you it wasn't in our hands. That's how we ended up with it now.
And what can we expect in terms of the way...
Translation, fuck if I know. Right, exactly, Big T.
The universe will behave in the future. We have big gaps in terms of our understanding. When we look actually at the entire mass energy content of the universe, it's only about 4% that we can claim to have a solid understanding of within our models. So we have really big questions that we're trying to answer through these kinds of investigations.
I'm amazed that someone raised enough money and convinced people to go, yeah, I want to make a collider that's gigantic, world's largest one. We can create new universes within. And they're like, yeah, where do I sign? How much money do you need? Cool.
A physicist once said to me that essentially our understanding of the universe is mostly built on these sort of theoretical ideas that we've created this kind of rickety structure and then put a bunch of science up on top of it, and now we're trying to fill it in underneath. It feels to me like you are, in some, thanks to the Large Hadron Collider, able to click in some of these sort of structures underneath all of what has been theory.
You mean the way he's talking, you mean you get to create things that you shouldn't create. But okay, cool.
Critical understanding before.
That's absolutely true. And that's a piece of the fun. But even more fun is the fact that the structure that we've built, this theoretical model of the universe, we know is incomplete. We know that there are problems.
They keep saying simulations and theoretical. There's a giant machine that they use to smash atoms at the speed of light that can almost, they said, almost like time travel is what she said.
With it. So I wouldn't say we're trying to prop it up. I would say we're trying to find the gaps and probe those pieces that don't seem to make sense to us so that we can build up a better structure and a better model of how the universe works.
And give us the long-term objective here. Let's say you really get to a place where you feel like you understand the history of the universe in this way, really understand the fundamental particles.
She's like, yeah, I'll never understand it in my lifetime.
You know, and get to a complete picture of things. What will that make possible for us that we, don't currently have available to us?
Wow, it's hard to even imagine. I feel so far from that point. It's hard to even imagine standing at that point where I understand the fundamental makeup of the universe. But I think getting to that point would be just a huge achievement for us as human beings.
But why? I keep asking the same question because they don't have an answer.
Understanding that aspect of, how the world around us works, it would give us a tremendous amount of information about our future. We look out at the universe now and we see that it's expanding at an accelerating rate.
Yeah, but I like looking up there because I know it's up there. You're literally on the planet. It's like a giant microwave.
We don't understand why that is. We don't really understand what the evolution of that has been or what will be. So it would give us a sense of where we're headed in terms of the universe. It's interesting to think about practical applications of
this whole fucking jar. Did she believe this shit?
This kind of work. And those kinds of things are hard to predict. Because in the history of the field, when we first discovered the electron, for example, that was almost at the level of a magic trick in terms of trying to understand a new phenomenon that wasn't grasped earlier. So it's not really simple to talk about practical implications because I don't think we know that. We do know that in doing this work, we're moving forward a lot of understanding and pushing computing and different technologies to enable us to do our experiments. So in that way, we're moving forward all kinds of frontiers of knowledge.
But why? Why are you doing this? What are you using it for? What are you doing?
Well, it's really extraordinary to imagine you all deep underneath the Swiss Alps simulating.
Again, not a simulation.
The earliest days of the universe, putting particles together the way that really only the universe was able to before now. So
listen to what he just said. Listen to what he just said.
Universe, putting particles together the way that really only the universe was able to.
You're putting particles together that only the universe could have done before you. Yeah, yes, the way it should have stayed. Why? Why are we so calm about this?
Before now. So extraordinary work you are doing. Dr. Cyril Demers joining us from Switzerland tonight. Thank you so much for your time and your insight.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh my God. It's like they're... I don't understand. This is another one?
When you hear the words particle accelerator...
Yeah, let's do another one.
The first thing you probably think of is the Large Hadron Collider. I mean, it is the most powerful atom smash planet. It's very charged with unpacking the fundamental mysteries of our universe. I went there once. It was amazing. Particle accelerators, though, do exactly that. Accelerate particles. Basically, charged subatomic particles move...
I'm learning more from this guy in the first 22 seconds than from that whole fucking interview from the actual scientist.
Circular pipe. As they whip around, the strength of the electric field in that pipe increased. More energy equals faster particle. Faster is more better. At the LHC, particles make 11,000 laps every second for about
11,000 laps per second. What the fuck?
Until they reach their optimum energy level and then point them at each other so they can collide. Scientists use this high energy tool to better understand physics and find explanations for theories to explain matter, space, and time. Even
I love this shit. I love how people are just like so calm talking about it. They're like, yeah, you're just taking two items and you're just shooting them around to light speed. And then we're just smashing them together. And we're going to see just how they do it. Right. Meanwhile, if two kids were in the backyard throwing balls at each other and hitting each other at the fastest speed or taking cars and crashing into them, be like, don't do that. That's dangerous. This is not dangerous. This is fine.
Even though the LHC is the biggest, it definitely isn't the only particle accelerator. In fact, you probably live not too far. There are over 30,000 particle accelerators.
Bro. Okay. 30,000. Okay. 30,000 accelerator colliders in the world. Okay. One of the side effects they said could be earthquake.
all over the world, doing a variety of jobs that sometimes have nothing to do with particle physics. For example, if you're in Paris, France, admiring the towering glass pyramid at the Louvre, particle accelerator meters below you. Yeah, in the basement, physicists use their particle accelerator called AGL for cultural preservation.
Somewhere in the world, someone's like, "Hey, Ted, how's it going today?" "Oh, it's going good." He opens up a door. He puts this can in. He closes the door. It's an accelerator particle collider. He pushes the button. He's like, "Yeah, how's your family?" "Yeah, it's good. Don't worry about it." Yeah. Close the door. Hits it. Collider. Blam, blam, blam. "All right, hey, all right, I'll see you at lunch." "All right." It's like, what?
Acclaim scans priceless museum artifacts, uncovering what they're made of and making sure they're the real deal. Do you want more specifics? Of course. These scientists use Acclaim to identify the minerals in the eyes of the famous 4,500-year-old Egyptian sculpture called the Seated Scribe. For all.
Sure, it's awesome. He doesn't look awesome from here, but I'm sure it's awesome.
3 of you art history nerds out there: black rock crystal, white carbonate, and iron oxide. Again, cool. How about another? Yes, please. No one likes contaminated food, right? Well, you can thank your friendly neighborhood particle accelerator for zapping any trace coli or salmonella.
So it is a microwave.
Gross. You've likely heard of foods. Sounds bad, but science nothing grow on it. All light, but I digress. Grocery irradiation works by high energy particles, thus killing all the bacteria.
I'm gonna sleep very good tonight, guys. I'm gonna sleep very good tonight.
While quality.
I can tell you without a doubt, all the stuff that we grow on our farm doesn't go through any kind of fucking radiation for produce or anything. Just letting you know. Just letting you know.
It's easy. It's sort of like pasteurizing milk or canning food, except science. Laser beams plus amazing. This symbol next to a bag of spinach, it means it's been treated with a particle accelerator. Probably get excited and tell everyone.
We don't use any of that on our meats or fruit, produce, vegetables, nothing.
Some of the most ubiquitous accelerators aren't sick like the Large Hadron
You can literally yank it off the tree, put it on the shelf, and then you buy it.
Collider, but instead they're a straight line, like a launch device for an aircraft. But instead they're launching particles. These are called LINACs, or linear accelerators. The longest LINAC in the world is at the SLAC, buried underground. If you've ever driven on a section of Highway California, you've driven right over. What? LINACs, like the one at the SLAC, are used by hospitals. Proton therapy utilizes particle accelerator, fires a beam right at a patient. This was a breakaway from
So Orange Farm is code for collider.
Therapy. Since proton therapy can target without causing extent to the surrounding, doctors are able to adjust how protons penetrate the body, why it is such an This kind of treatment is critical for head and neck, which are surrounded by the brainstem and spinal cord and the tongue, important structures, probable X-rays. And these are just some of the problems particle accelerators are tackling. You can find them helping science discover new drug mazes, inspecting shipping cargo. The list truly goes on. Unsung hero in science. So we all know matter is made up of particles, but the heck, Julian gives you a crash course in subatomic particles.
I think I'm good. Amazing. I learn something new every day. They're building a new one. It's going to be bigger than the last. I love how that one woman though was talking like, yeah, we're just making dark matter, and we're really excited. We're just trying to do stuff. Like, it was just like a bullshit answer over a bullshit answer. Just like never really said what they actually do. We take this thing and we run it around 11,000 times in a second for 20 minutes, and then we collide them together and we make a thing that atoms, and they explode every direction. Everything's fine. That's how we disinfect our fruit. That sounds like an expensive task. Is this apple good enough to eat? You gotta put it in the collider. It's gonna cost $1 million to turn it on, but your apple will be disinfected by the end of it. All right, I'm done for the night. I appreciate you guys coming out, hanging out with us. We'll be back Monday. Enjoy your weekend. We'll have some gaming news right here on 30NSG. Appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5 this weekend. You guys have a good one. Peace.